We're back now with a look at the race for 2020. Elizabeth Warren has been seeing a consistent rise in the polls recently, surging to second place in several of them. And now a new Economist YouGov poll has her just 1 point behind frontrunner Joe Biden, trailing 21% with 20%. Joining me now is Bishop Garrison, co-founder and president of the Rainey Center for Public Policy, and Brian Darling, a former staffer for Senator Rand Paul and founder of Liberty Government Affairs. Gentlemen, welcome. Bishop, start with you. Is there a real possibility that Elizabeth Warren jumps over Biden to earn the front-runner status fairly soon?
Yeah, there's an absolute possibility of that. I think that Elizabeth Warren has continued to show American voters, to show the Democratic base that she is really interested in policy matters, that she's really interested in demonstrating that she is a true leader and that she has what it takes to help this country move forward. I think it's an absolute possibility, yes.
Okay, so this is interesting to me because, as you know, the number one selling point from Joe Biden ever since he jumped in the race in May is that he sells himself as a candidate that could best beat Trump. And in that same poll, 65% of Democrats say he would probably beat the president. But the number of Democrats saying the same thing about Warren now jumping to 57%. You also had the recent Fox poll that showed that Kamala Harris would also beat President Trump, as well as Bernie Sanders. So should the president be worried about who's rising in the poll at this point?
If that's for me,
yeah.
Sorry, Brian. How about I jump in and I'll let Brian take it after that? I would say that one point I want to make is that you're seeing a lot of voters that are looking to vote more about values and more about ethics, and they do want someone who has the ability to beat the president, but it's not simply about that. It's really about showing the world, showing the country as well, look, this is what our value proposition is. This is what we're really all about, and they're going to vote that way. It's not simply about voting for who can necessarily have the biggest victory or have the victory. It's a little bit more holistic than that.
Yeah, Brian, pick it up right there on those numbers.
Well, as a Republican, I look at what's going on right now and see that Joe Biden has a built-in advantage with all the candidates running. But if I'm Donald Trump, I want Elizabeth Warren. I think that she's got a lot of problems. She's inauthentic with her claim of Native American heritage. I think she's got a problem with the fact that if people look at her record, she didn't even register to be a Democrat until she was 47 years old. I don't know many progressives who became progressives.
Bernie Sanders has been doing great at the poll and still not a registered Democrat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's a socialist. But I think one of the biggest problems
is what he is.
One of the biggest problems with Elizabeth Warren is I just think that she's inauthentic in the sense that look at all the proposals she rolls out on a daily basis. It's new idea after new idea. But as a senator, she really didn't accomplish anything, and she didn't really push the ball down the field all that very much. So I think Donald Trump really wants Elizabeth Warren.
How is having new ideas some type of a terrible thing? The fact that I get what you're saying in terms of maybe not having as much action as a senator in Congress, but listen, this is a Congress that has been hyper-partisan, more so than we've ever seen in the history of our country, arguably. So at least in the modern day, I should say. So I don't see her having new policy ideas that she's looking to implement as being a bad thing.
So Brian, I'm curious about this because Elizabeth Warren has put out quite a bit of proposals. Her latest one about Native Americans is the longest one yet, several pages, nearly 1,000 pages. But President Trump, or candidate Trump, when he was running, didn't really have that many proposals at all. So are you saying that basically that's the winning formula? Like just talk about Mexico will build a wall and pay for it, and then that's it?
I'll push back a little bit. I do think that President Trump, when he ran, he did put out a very significant tax reform bill that ended up becoming law. I mean, he did roll out a long list of candidates he said he would nominate to the U.S. Supreme Court, and he used that list. So he did have ideas, and yeah, I mean, he was pushing for the wall. But I think with Elizabeth Warren, my knock is that she didn't do anything as a senator. She was kind of an empty pantsuit over there, and I don't think she put any points on the board when she was actually in the Senate.
I can't believe you using the tax cuts for the rich is a victory for the president. That is
huge
absurd.
Victory. It helped the economy.
That's absurd. It did not. We just saw Wall Street have one of the biggest losses in its modern day history this past week. Like on two separate occasions, it's dumped almost 1,000 points, and it's directly because of the president's policies around this trade war with China and around the tax cuts. We're looking at down the barrel of a recession right now.
I guess you give him some credit for the economic boom we've been having. The fact that unemployment rates are
inherited that from
very
Obama, Brian.
Oh, everything was inherited from Obama. When
no,
it's
everything
good,
wasn't. Not
when
these
it's
losses.
bad, it's all Donald Trump.
All right. And Brian, also I should point out, earlier this week we learned that the budget deficit might end up being $1 trillion for the first time this fiscal year. We're well ahead. It seems as if that tax cut is not necessarily paying for itself. The New York Times is reporting, gentlemen, that former President Barack Obama has now taken an active interest behind the scenes in Joe Biden's campaign. Take a look. So the paper says that Obama is now hammering away at the need for Biden's campaign to expand his aging inner circle, urging him actually to include more younger aides. So, Bishop, see right here, are Biden's closest advisors too old and a little bit out of touch with the current political climate? Really quickly here.
I know, I'm sorry, I'll try to keep it quick. I know quite a few of them behind the scenes. I would say no. I think that you have a lot of very distinguished individuals that are working very closely with him, a lot of individuals that want to see the country move forward. He should be leaning on their experience while taking the opportunity to provide new pathways for some of these younger policy professionals to step in and step up. So I think you can have balance here.
All right. We'll leave it there. Bishop, Brian, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Happy Sunday.